This is the biggest scam in CSGO history. Imagine the people who you think are supposed to be helping you with your account, Steam support, actually being the people who are behind the biggest scam in CSGO history, stealing people's accounts and upwards to over $10 million of skins. That is right, this is where in this video we're going to be going over a real story of what is the biggest scam ever to take place in CSGO, where it is reported of upwards to over $10 million worth of skins and popular cosmetics were stolen. We're talking about Catavita 2014 holos, howls, dragon lores, very rare souvenirs, and anything else that you can think about that is rare and expensive in the game. Seeing as these items are so exclusive, we're literally able to track them down and know exactly what inventory they're in now, as this is one of the most elaborate and scariest scams to ever hit CSGO, so we're going to talk about it so you don't really have to worry about it. Now what I am talking about does all stem from this Russian YouTuber right here who is called MZK Show. Shoutouts to him for covering this extremely well, but obviously his videos are in Russian, so it's a little hard for a lot of people to sort of understand. This is a very serious situation involving Steam support employees, so we're gonna fully go in and talk about it. He asked for people to sort of distribute this news, but if you'd rather maybe just watch this in Russian, make sure you go ahead and check out his original video. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below. Now this video is gonna be including very popular YouTubers like Anomaly, and also some of the most famous skin collectors like Zipel, from just regular Steam employees to even upper management in the company. Once again, this scam is extremely elaborate and a lot more serious than you probably expect. So the names which we're going to be talking about are actually false due to just hiding the person's identity, as this is actually an inside look at what took place. So let's just get started. This is where in 2021 many will learn about a person who is called Steam Help. This is where they would miraculously retrieve all the information about any account and the incentive for a fee. So essentially they were charging people to give them information about any Steam account that they wanted. Now this is somebody who's going by the name of Steam Help, but then there's another person who's also involved. Now let's call them Alexander. This is where Alexander buys data from a couple of accounts from Steam Help for a sample. He had nothing to do with these accounts, it was more so just a test to see if it would work out. All the data turned out to be correct, and then the accounts were just restored. So after that happened, Alexander had a brilliant scheme with which you could just restore accounts and then take the skins for the purpose of a further sale. When you see restore accounts, it's just sort of a word which gets lost in translation for sort of hack or sort of hijack the account, which you'll learn more about in just a second. So with this new scheme he made up of getting this data from Steam Help, stealing the accounts, and then going ahead and selling the skins for money, Steam Help went ahead and agreed to it. A more in-depth look on the scheme itself is this. They were looking for accounts with extremely large inventories. They were not interested in inventories for a couple of thousands of dollars, because this is too little. This should be a huge eye-opener on how serious this scam actually was. If your inventory is just a few $100s or even a few thousand, you probably don't even have to worry about this because your inventory is quote-unquote too little for them. So therefore, these were top-end inventories with skins in CSGO. Then they dropped out on two different parameters. The first parameter was that an account had to be inactive for a long time, and if the account was suitable, it was taken into development. If it was maybe active though, then the second parameter was checked. It consisted in whether the true owner of the account was using the account, or conditionally 5, 10, or 15 years ago it was bought. They checked this, and if the account was not one of the original owner, they also took it into development. So essentially, if they noticed that it was inactive and the account wasn't getting used, they would just easily go ahead and steal and hijack the account. If maybe they also noticed that it was a bot account and it wasn't the original owner who no longer is using it, well, they would also go ahead and hijack that account as well. Summed up, accounts with large inventories were taken, which were an asset or purchased. After weeding out all accounts, the Steam employee looked at all the data from the accounts and then handed it over to Alexander. So they would literally sit there and create a massive hit list of future targets that they would go ahead and steal their accounts. Now MZK Show also wanted to add in that the person who's known as Steam Help turned out to be no intermediary, but actually a tech worker himself for Steam support. Further, after a transfer of data to Alexander, his work came, and well, it was to restore the account. Absolutely every account they chose was restored without any problems. Since the Steam employee provided Alexander the login, the first email, the account key, a phone number tied to the account, transactions, and also the location from which they were sat at on the account. The only thing which he was not able to get him was no password, because the employees of Steam support are not able to see that information, which is why eventually they had to go ahead and restore the account, which is some pretty scary news. Anybody from Steam support is literally able to see all this information from your account, so this is why it was so easy for them to go ahead and steal them, because most of the time they probably knew more information about the account than the person who had it at the time. There's also a look at the panel that Steam support actually uses, and well, this is exactly what it looks like. There's transaction numbers, how much transaction data was sent, what games there are, and the keys to them, how many hours are in the different games, and this is the only look at this panel which we currently have. So now that the scheme has been started and everything has been checked, this is where discs with games and also keys for tech were rendered, support accounts, skins, and then money flowed like a river. You can see here, this is just one of the many pictures they went ahead and sent to Steam, essentially proving that they were the owner of the account. So what they would do is for every different account, they would print these off with the different CD key that was registered to the account, which to them was some pretty definite proof that they were the owner. Remember, they had all this information at the tip of their fingertips, and well, let's go into one of the first examples from an account which has over $100,000 of skins. We're also going to be taking a look at the sale of some of these skins, and well, as you can see, these are many souvenir skins. There's also Dragon Lores, Desert Hydras, really in short, a huge scam. Now, just to repeat once again, as once you probably start to look at this, you might get worried about your own inventory, but once again, small accounts were not interesting at all, only large inventories with extreme price tags. The owners of the accounts from who they were stolen could literally do nothing. After all, if they noticed a hack, then they cannot provide more information than Alexander. I mean, just think about it for a second. They had all the information possible for your account, so how are you going to provide more information and proof that you're the owner than them? So the only thing that they could do was write nonsense in those support, like I stole an account, now I will steal skins, and only in such a case they would somehow annoy Alexander. Here is just one example of how this happened, due to the fact that the owner spammed Steam support for such messages. You can see Steam support literally just went ahead and deleted this guy's whole entire inventory. Huge amounts of money right here. I mean, we got Emperor was hot rod, multiple various different knives. They also went ahead and deleted this guy's service medal, which is kind of funny. And well, that was only the first page. Here's the second page with multiple storage units, other knives, holos for Catavita 2014. You can see Reason Gaming holo. That itself is tens of thousands of dollars, AK-47 case hardened, so you can see why this account was a target. Something else which may catch your eye is there is two different Catavita 2014 capsules, a Legends and the Challengers, and well, Steam support just went ahead and deleted them all. When this happened, Alexander was already sitting on the account at that time. Some employee deleted all the skins from the account, including medals, boxes, which if you know anything about the CSGO market, you probably know how much money is actually sitting right here. But there's even more proof. So a lot of the liquid skins were mainly just sold on Buff, as they can just be easily sold on this site and nobody would really notice. Buff, you could arguably say, is the most popular site for high tier skins, so here is just a few that they would go ahead and sell. Now, do you remember those imminent dangers that we were taking a look at earlier? Well, here is them all getting sold on Buff right here. You can see all the various different sales, how much they were sold to, who bought them, really just thousands of dollars of skins just getting exchanged. There's even many more like this Op Medusa, Op Dragon Lore. So with just a couple accounts on Buff, it was possible for them to withdraw about $320,000, but it was only a fraction of the skins. You may notice that it was just a small part. 8,000 skins were sold for this $320,000. Here you can see a screenshot of their history on Buff and how much income they were actually generating. And once again, feel free to go ahead and search all the different floats for all those skins we were taking a look at, and you can actually find out exactly where they're at right now. We're gonna go more into this though very soon, but with very large skins that they were targeting, it got more difficult. Large skins are defined as Catavita 2014 Titan Holos, a Howl with a Titan Holo also on it, various different emerald knives, rubies, which occupied the first lines on the float. At the moment, 6 Catavita 2014 capsules, which are not clear exactly where they went to. This is where top traders like Anomaly, Zipel, and Chinese ones, of which unfortunately do not know, are gonna start to get included here. Since no screenshots of these exchanges with these people, MZK Show asked for other proof of this, which he'll go ahead and show right now. So let's begin with zipel. As it's understood, he was just an intermediary. They managed to get in contact with each other, and well, this is where zipel went ahead and turned these skins over to other people, or either just resold them. It's also important to know that these people didn't actually know what was going on with these skins at the time, so don't go out and think that they're just a part of the elaborate plan. They're just some of the biggest traders in CSGO who would actually go ahead and buy these items. And that should really put it into perspective how big this scam actually was. The biggest people in the scene were involved and they really didn't even know. So going back to zipel, he was given a Howl with Titan Hollow stickers and also an iBuyPower Hollow sticker and a Howl sticker on it. He was then separately transferred the Titan Hollow sticker. This is the Howl in question right here. You can see the Titan Hollow, iBuyPower Hollow, and then also the Howl sticker, and also the 0.326 float value. This is the Titan Hollow which he received, and well, this is where that exact Howl now is in the Navi player bits inventory. Initially though, this Howl as well as the Titan Hollow sticker was with this person, and here is the history of his inventory before it actually got restored. You can see it was originally with this person. So well, after that, Alexander went ahead and restored the account and transferred all the content and skins to his account, and well, at the moment the account was actually deleted. We're going to explain more about this in just a little bit, but this is where Alexander then went ahead and contacted zipel and handed him these skins. You can see right here, well, here's the item history of the Howl. It was originally on this account, eventually got hijacked and stolen. Alexander sent it over to his sort of middleman account, which he eventually went ahead, sent it over to zipel, which zipel then went ahead and gave it over to this guy. You might also be wondering why this guy's profile image is sort of grayed out, and that's because that's a deleted account. This is the Chinese collector which zipel gave it to, and well, this is the Navi player bit who is currently using it. You can see they go ahead and sort of just trade it back to one another. And well, seeing as the Titan Hollow is a sticker, it's a little bit harder for it to track its location, obviously because it is a sticker, but after zipel, it left the craziest Russian speaking collector, Lunar, if not confused, who bought absolutely everything. Now, there's actually more confirming proof about this. On Twitter, zipel wrote that one Chinese collector had given him a Howl and a Titan Hollow, at least he thought so. As you understand, only zipel and the person who gave him the skin could know about the information that he went ahead and said before. Here you can read the zipel tweet which says, "OG Chinese player reached out to me to sell these for him. He had been AFK since 2016. Factory new Howl 0.03, iBuyPower Hollow plus Titan Hollow, and as well as a Titan Hollow unapplied, both being sold in a week. Offers in DM." You can see this is the exact same Howl, the Titan Hollow iBuyPower. There's even the Howl sticker right there in the back, which was posted back in 2021, meaning that the timeline exactly lines up. So you can sort of see how this is developing a lot more than you might think. But with this post, it sort of gives us an in on what it was like on the other side when someone was buying this skin. They sort of just gave them the story that they were just an old Chinese collector which was AFK for many years, which was kind of true because remember what was said at the beginning of the video. They were only targeting old AFK accounts or people who didn't actually own their current account. So the story technically lined up in some sort of way. There's also more confirmation that this was actually Alexander. Now before we do, let's explain why the account has been deleted. The fact is that after Alexander selling all the skins, deleted accounts for which he threw skins, he also deleted the accounts that he restored, and you'll see that next too. But in the case of this account, the owner a couple days later before the removal was still able to restore the account though, without the skins. This is why this particular account was never deleted. So sort of very similar to why a murderer would try to clean up his crime scene afterwards, Alexander after selling the skins would just go ahead and delete the account so there was no traces back to him. But let's move on to the next big trader in CSGO, which is Anomaly, as he has actually sold many more skins to him. For example, some were actually from the same account. These include Fire Serpents, Knights, many other skins were handed over to him. You can see right here, this is the original account which also had the Howl from earlier, eventually got transferred over to this middleman account, and then over to Anomaly. Here's another example for a Fire Serpent from the exact same account. with the exact same history taking place. Now, it's not only this, it's also one of the top 5 emeralds was also one of the ones which got hacked. This is actually currently in Anomaly's possession right now, and well, this is the item history right here. The story goes that over 560 days ago, it laid on the account that Alexander went ahead and hijacked. Then Alexander threw it over to his account, which he would go ahead and sell to Anomaly. Here, both of the accounts were deleted because, as I said, Alexander, he specially deleted the stolen accounts and the accounts from which he sold everything from. So there would literally be no traces. If he could, he would delete the hijacked account and also the account from which he would sell the items from. And again, you might say these are just some mediocre proofs, but he believes that Anomaly can confirm that he bought from this person and it wasn't only this emerald. Before we continue, Anomaly actually did respond and said, "Very unfortunate situation. Obviously, I had no idea these items were somehow stolen from an inactive account, and he didn't mention anything about it. I hope Steam will solve this somehow and the hackers will get what they deserve," essentially confirming everything which was said in this video is true. Now, let's continue. There's actually a recording from Anomaly's stream from which he took this knife as well as a Dignitas sticker from the account. Here's a look at it right here. You can see this is a look at the account before it was actually deleted. And you might remember how it was mentioned that there was 6 Catavita 2014 capsules that Alexander stole. It turned out that it wasn't actually 6 capsules, but a little bit more. Let's take a look at another account which was stolen. You can see that it literally says you traded with deleted because obviously Alexander went ahead and deleted their whole entire account. You'll notice here's a Catavita 2014 capsule, and the account from which these were taken from. When you take a look at the history of the inventory on the screen, you can see they had at least 7 capsules, and where they went to was actually found. This is where the first Vox Holo and sticker is given to a collector named POTUS in one trade, which the Vox and other skins were all taken from this account. You can see multiple different Titan Catavita 2014, iBuy Powers, Holos. So right here you can see POTUS in one trade was handed a capsule and a sticker on about the 20th of March 2022. Then by the second trade, one more capsule and a bunch of stickers from Catavita 2014 were also sent. You can see this is an inventory just a bit later, with a bunch of different iBuy Powers and Titans and other Catavita 2014 holos. Now, this is where one of the capsules went to a Russian collector, as surprisingly Alexander has a really good memory given that he sold almost 10,000 different skins. He remembers with whom and for what he exchanged it for. So for one of the capsules, he exchanged some skins. Those skins were some really expensive gloves, which were then in turn sold on Buff. We're able to track these Vice gloves down. You can see these were the accounts which were hijacked and stolen around 300 days ago, and their history nowadays. And well, as you're taking note, these skins are getting sold in extremely huge scale. This isn't just your regular scam which involves somebody few $100 knife. These are involving extremely rare collector one-of-one items. Now this is where one of the most interesting parts of this story, which is actually maybe one of the most concerning and scariest parts, is that at a certain time, Alexander and the guy who's known as Steam Help who was helping him out, well, they understood that in addition to them, well, this is done by some other employee or employees. And well, how did they get it? Because they had a list of accounts on which they laid their eyes on, and sooner or later were gonna go ahead and hijack and take their skins. Like mentioned earlier, was their hit list of accounts which they wanted to go ahead and steal. This is where at a certain point they would see some of the accounts which they listed off would already have been stolen, and then they would have already been hijacked or either deleted. They obviously understood how it all works, so they were aware that now they had some competitors. Here is an account which Alexander remembers, which includes a bunch of various different Titan Holos, Fire Serpents, AK-47 Case Hardened 661 patterns, and many more. This is an account which they wanted to go ahead and steal, but their competitor went ahead and got it before them. This is the exact AK they were talking about. The scheme is still the same, as it was originally on the account from over 1,395 days ago, hijacked, dropped onto the account 439 days ago, and then both accounts were then deleted. There's even more proof that there was competitors in the scene, which means that there was multiple different Steam employees working behind the scenes to steal people's accounts and skins. This is where Alexander found an account which he wanted to restore. When they went ahead and went into the inventory, there was nothing there somehow. So this is where he checked out the inventory trade history, and he could find that the Titan sticker and also iBuyPower holo were just exchanged for a prince. This is obviously a bad trade for just some balance on a site from which they could just withdraw various different liquid knives and then sell those on buff and etc. These two stickers were exchanged for roughly about 920,000 rubles, even though they're worth much more. Here's even a look at the crypto wallet withdrawals. You can see all the different amounts that he was given. So this all brings up the fact that in addition to Alexander and also Steam Help, there's also other employees who are doing the same thing. Alexander even went ahead and declared them in a mini war, so to speak, as he knew their accounts, where they throw off everything and where they were put for sale. He then threw tickets on these accounts, which because of these, a lot of them eventually got banished or simply the skins were deleted on them. Like how I showed before, Steam support would just go ahead and delete full inventories of skins. He just kept going and annoyed his competitors, costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here is one of the accounts of a competitor, and in the inventory there are such skins, a few Navi holos from Katowice 2014, the Mystic holo, and I'm pretty sure you understand from just taking a look at previous accounts. You can see they just went ahead and got the whole entire account community banned. And well, here are just some of the items on the account. You can see various different Katowice 2014 holos, Navi, ODLC, Clan Mystic, Fnatic. So this is where it's really important to take note that if you see any expensive skin, and well, in the history around 300 to 850 days ago, if there was a person who removed or probably deleted their account, there's around a 95% probability that the skin was stolen. If the dates are different, then the chances are much lower, but still, most likely the skins are stolen. So this went on for over a year, but then they eventually got on what you could call the boss account. They had their eyes on this account and actually were able to hijack it, but what they didn't know is the person who they stole it from had bigger connections than themselves. Their scheme eventually came to a halt. The Steam employee who was going by Steam Help just disappeared in the darkness. And well, we're here to go ahead and discuss this story. This is some extremely dangerous and scary news, especially for CSGO. It probably won't be affecting around 99% of you guys, as they were literally going for the top 1% of inventories. I definitely wanted to share this news with you guys. I mean, this is some very scary things, and hopefully Steam catches on to this, maybe implement some more security measures where Steam support doesn't have all this information on every different account. I can see why they could potentially need access to it, but there seems to be some sort of flaw in the system at the moment. Hopefully this does get fixed in the future, but it is said from Alexander that this is still currently possible till this day. There's even rumors that the infamous HFB hack, which took place at over $2 million of skins were hacked and stolen, but obviously were eventually restored, was actually the same thing. This hasn't been confirmed yet, but this is without a doubt the biggest scam to ever take place for CSGO. It's expected that over $10 million worth of skins were sold and exchanged, involving the biggest traders in the entire scene. Feel free to go ahead and track any of the items which were talked about in this video, and make sure you show some love to the original creator as they did an amazing job on this video.